Think About Thursday in Hormonal Harmony. Today I am talking to you about healthy swaps that you can make or easy healthy swaps you can make in your day-to-day diet that will help you to feel a little bit better, maybe even a lot better, depending on the actual swaps that you make or depending how many of them you implement. I thought about this because during conversations with my clients, a lot of what we discuss is what are the small changes that you can make that will have a big impact on your day. And so, for example, way back, I've mentioned this in a previous Facebook Live, when I was in my early days at uni and I went to student clinic because I had a lot of problems with, I was getting a lot of period pain that was a lot worse than what it had been previously, and I was taking evening primrose oil at the time, and the student practitioner suggested switching or finishing the evening primrose oil and then moving on to a fish oil, because I don't eat a lot of fish. I'm not a big fan of fish. None of my family like fish, so I don't eat a lot of fish, but we need good healthy fats from fish, the omega-3 fatty acids from fish, to help with our reproductive function. So I switched to a good quality fish oil and have been taking it every day ever since, and the impact on my period pain back at the time was quite dramatic. I'm not suggesting everybody who's taking evening primrose oil should necessarily move to a fish oil, because obviously there's different reasons for taking evening primrose oil which are also important, but for me that small change had a big impact for me. So I think it's worth sharing a few of my other small changes that I have made along the way over the past however many years it's been since I started studying, just to give you guys some ideas for things to play with. Small changes can have a big impact. They don't, improvement in your health through food doesn't need to be a massive overhaul. Quite often it can just be little baby steps. So I literally did a brain dump of what are the sorts of things that I think would be useful for people to know. Firstly, if you are a user of vegetable oils for baking, for drizzling over baked vegetables, for cooking in things like that, I would much prefer you used extra virgin olive oil. It doesn't have a lot of the nasty stuff that the vegetable oils have. Vegetable oils are usually a blend of a whole lot of different oils, and extra virgin olive oil is extra virgin olive oil, and it's got so many lovely benefits. So switch to extra virgin olive oil. That's number one. Number two, if you eat a lot of bread, switch if you can to either a spelt or a properly made, slowly fermented sourdough. I say properly made because I'm guessing even though the supermarket now has sourdough on the shelves, some of it is probably still mass produced and not actually fermented nice and slowly. The important thing about either the spelt or the properly fermented sourdough is that because of the way they are made, they are much easier on your digestion. Some people, not everyone, but a lot of people struggle to digest gluten, for example. It can just have a bit of a nasty is not the right word. It can have an impact on your digestion. But the sourdough, because of the way it's been made, it's been fermented nice and slowly, and the gluten has been broken down more. That doesn't mean it's safe for someone who's celiac, but some people who are gluten intolerant can tolerate sourdough, for example. So if you find that you eat bread and you feel a little bit afterwards, try switching it for a spelt or a sourdough and see if that has a positive impact for you. Okay, number three, if you like to eat plain rice crackers with cheese or with dip or whatever the case may be, and I do, I'm a big fan of crackers and cheese, switch for grainy crackers. Why? Simply because a plain rice cracker in particular, even the plain water crackers, they are basically, rice is obviously made of rice, but the plain water crackers, wheat, sort of processed down to its bare minimum. What that means is it will break down very quickly when you eat it into glucose, give you that glucose high, that sugar hit that we have talked about in the past. So it'll spike your blood sugar and then it'll potentially come crashing down. Really, in crackers, in your plain crackers, it's empty calories. They're a filler for the cheese or for the dip that you're having with them. If you can choose a grainy cracker instead, you're actually getting the bonus of all the nice minerals that come with all the grains that are included. So wherever you can, switch for a grainy cracker. Simple. If you are a margarine user, I would much prefer you use butter because margarine has a lot of trans fats in it that we now know are not good for us. So move on from margarine. If you like yogurt and you like flavoured yogurt, such as might be vanilla flavoured yogurt, it might be low-fat yogurt with berries added or with a bit of honey or something like that. If you have a look at the ingredients, particularly of low-fat yogurt, but often the full-fat with some berries added, they tend to add sugar as well. Now, the low-fat ones, they'd be adding sugar for the taste perspective to make up for the fact that they pulled the fat out. The full-fat, I don't know why they add sugar, unless it's a preservative aspect around the fruit. Quite possible. However, if you switch a flavoured yogurt for a good quality Greek yogurt, such as Jalna, such as Farmers Union, such as Chobani, and you can add your own fruit to it to get a little bit more flavour in it, that is going to be so much better for you. So switch your flavoured yogurt with added sugars, assuming they have added sugars, for a good quality Greek yogurt. And speaking of sugars or added sugars, think about switching. If you use honey, instead of just buying the good old Capilano honey, go for a Manuka honey, because that is much more likely to have lovely antibacterial properties. And watch when you have a look in the supermarket, Capilano might say on it something about Manuka, but if you have a look, it's a blend. You want a proper Manuka honey. A bit more expensive, but you'll notice the difference in the taste, and then you're getting these lovely benefits from it that you wouldn't get otherwise. Okay, this one is not so much, well, it could be a swap, but it could also be a mix-up. If you love eating nuts, but you find that you prefer the salted roasted nuts over the raw nuts, we all know too much salt is not good for us as a general rule. So if you're wanting to work out a way to reduce your salt intake but still have plenty of nut intake, because we know nuts are good for us, buy some raw, buy some salted, mix them all together, and then you'll just get half-half. And over time you can gradually reduce the amount of salted that you're putting in and increase the amount of raw that you're putting in, and you'll get used to it. It takes maybe, I think it's 20 days to change a habit. That might probably 2 to 3 weeks as well, to change your taste buds. And it's quite interesting. Taste buds change, and they really can change. I recall, I'm just going on a bit of a diversion here, but it's just a good illustration. When I first discovered I was celiac 12 or so years ago, I was buying different things, trying different foods. And I remember coming across in the supermarkets gluten-free, I can't remember the name of those biscuits. Shortbready type biscuits with cream in the middle. The name escapes me. I got excited because I love those biscuits. Not that I'm suggesting you go and buy a whole lot of biscuits. Anyway, I digress. My point is, I tasted them and they tasted awful. And I actually said to my husband, here, these are awful, taste them, which isn't a way to sell food to anybody. But we were convinced there was something wrong with them. And then a little bit further down the track, like a year or two later when I tried them again, my taste buds had changed because they'd adapted to the new style of eating that I was doing. And now I actually don't mind those biscuits. That's annoying me that I can't remember the name of them. Anyway, so you can change your taste buds. Having said that, I didn't eat them sort of constantly in order to change my taste buds. So that story doesn't quite illustrate what I was trying to illustrate. But you know what I mean. Try something. If you're not 100% sure, but you think you might be okay to try it for a few weeks and you will find that you might start to really like it. Okay, so I talked about salted nuts. If you're a white rice and a white plain pasta eater, a good swap is obviously for brown rice or for mixed grain rice. So there's wild rice, there's red rice. There's a lot of rices that you can get in the supermarket now that mix a few different blends, which is a great option for you. And if you're not, so my kids, for example, don't really like brown rice, but I will sometimes make a small amount of white rice and a smaller amount of brown rice and mix them together. Nice way to get some of the brown rice into them. And then again, over time, you can gradually swap or change your proportion so you're having more of the brown. And same applies to pasta. Plain white pasta really just, again, it's a bit of a filler. Look, we all love it, don't get me wrong. But if you can mix it in with some wholemeal, and there's so many different options now. There's lentil pasta, there's pulse pasta. Buckwheat's a really nice one. It's nice and creamy, and that's also gluten-free. So if you're on a gluten-free diet, you can mix up some buckwheat even with the plain gluten-free pasta, and you're just getting a better supply of the vitamins and minerals that come from the whole grains, as opposed to just eating that plain white pasta. If you're a mayonnaise eater, this is my last. I've got two more. If you're a mayonnaise eater, I know that you can make your own mayonnaise. I'll confess I've never made it myself. I used to always buy the light mayonnaise because back in the, what was it, early 90s, when low fat was the flavour of the day. Everyone had to eat low fat. I would always buy light everything. If you are a mayonnaise purchaser and you buy light mayonnaise, have a look next time you buy some. Just have a look at the ingredients. The light mayonnaise ingredients list is very long, and there's a lot of added stuff that isn't really necessary. Then I want you to pull off the shelf a bottle of whole egg mayonnaise, and you will find a lot less goes into it. It's more pure. So there's less stuff that you don't need. So go for a whole egg mayonnaise. Make your own, even better, if you can, if you want to. One day I will, one day. I keep promising myself. It's not hard from what I've seen and heard. It's simple. Just haven't got there yet. Okay, my last swap is not a food, it's actually an item. If you heat stuff up or are cooking stuff in the microwave, please do not use plastic containers, even if they say microwave safe, BPA safe. These plastic containers that we use to heat up things in the microwave will leach little tiny, minuscule, what's called microplastics into your food. Those microplastics may not be detectable immediately, but over time, if you're constantly heating stuff up in plastic and constantly eating that stuff, you are getting more and more microplastics into your body. Microplastics disrupt a lot of things. In particular, one of the main things they disrupt is your estrogen receptors. So they actually behave a little bit like estrogen. So cells will actually see these microplastics circulating around, and they will think that they are estrogen, and so the microplastics will attach to the cell's estrogen receptor, which means that the real estrogen can't get in, and that keeps circulating. And one of my other earlier Facebook's lives, we have talked about excess estrogen circulating through your body, and the sorts of problems that come with that include things like heavier periods, like lumpy and swollen breasts, like worse PMS, like headaches, like agitation, and so on. So minimize your exposure to microplastics by using glass containers in the microwave instead. Very simple. Even if you are having, the rice packs, the little rice cups that come in plastic containers, or the mixed rice that comes in, the plastic bag, and it says just tear the bit off and pop it in the microwave. Tip it into a glass bowl. Put a plate over the top, just leave a little bit of space so that some air can get in. But you know then that you're not actually adding to your toxic load. You're not getting any of those microplastics by accident. I think I'll stop there. I have no idea how long I've been going for, but I have gone through everything that I wanted to talk about. So I hope you got some value out of that. I hope you found some swaps that are going to work for you. Please throw into the comments if you implement any of these. Throw in the comments or post in the Hormonal Harmony page how you went. I'd love to hear. And if you've got any other swaps that you can think of, or any questions obviously about alternatives for certain things, please by all means throw them in the page and I will answer them. All right, I will leave you to it. Happy Thursday. Have a lovely weekend. The sun in Sydney is out for the first time in I don't even know how many days. So if you can, get outside, go and enjoy it. And have a lovely weekend. Until next Thursday. Go forth in hormonal harmony. Take care. Bye.